Clip now of something that happened last night. Last night, Judy and myself managed to blag ourselves onto a yacht. What is a yacht? On a yacht pretty much similar to this, where I met a US Marine, Lieutenant Mike Scotti, who is a veteran of the Iraq War, and he took a DV camera around with him for the whole conflict. And this is in the days before the military clamped down on all that stuff. And he managed to put together a movie which is extraordinary. It's called, goodness me, I've lost my place. What's it called?
Sever Clear.
Sever Clear. It's called Sever Clear, and I managed to share a few words with him, and this is what he had to say about the movie.
The film, is really a first-person narrative about what it is like to serve in combat. And it follows, my unit's time from leaving the States to going over and fighting, in the war in Iraq, up Route 7, taking Baghdad, and then the retrograde back home. So the film is shot by myself and two other Marines that are actually in my unit with me, and then a fourth Marine who is stationed back with the artillery with the guns. And it's all, none of it's staged, it's all real footage that was captured by us. Our lenses were right on the battlefield, kind of right over the shoulders, the other Marines that were there. And it wasn't until returning to the United States in 2003 that I met the guys from Cirque Productions, Christian Fraga, who's the director, who's the one that actually had the vision, who reviewed the footage and kind of heard my story. He was the one that had the vision of actually making it into a feature film. The response from Marines and families has been really overwhelming. We had hoped that the film would resonate with audiences, the family members of people who have fought overseas, and it has. I've been at numerous, theatrical engagements around the U.S. where, mothers would come up to us afterwards and say, now I understand why it is that my son is maybe a little bit different when he returned from the war. We had Marines say, there's a certain story that happens in the film involving a young girl at a checkpoint. Oh, by the way, the same thing happened to me, except it was this, this, and this. Can I get a copy of this to maybe show to my parents, to show what it was like, to be over there? And that's very, very important. The film pulls no punches. It's very visceral. It's very real. It shows the chaos and a lot of the horrors that are the reality in any war. And we felt it was strong to include that, because without that, an element would be missing from the film, that the audiences wouldn't be experience what it really is to, like to fight in a war. The biggest takeaway from combat and also just joining the military is that you have that shared experience, that you go through something that's very difficult, whether it's boot camp in the beginning or where it's actually something traumatic like war. It creates those bonds, and that that's something that it's irreplaceable, and it's something you can't create artificially, and that's kind of the essence of the film, is showing those bonds and showing that experience that creates those bonds, and something that will be with me forever. I mean, the guys that I fought with, I will remember forever, and they'll always be my brother. My lowest point, believe it or not, wasn't even in combat. My lowest point was after I came home. There was a stretch of about 18 months that I call, the dark time. That was actually harder for me than, combat was very difficult, it was very stressful. It pushes the human mind and spirit and body to the limits. We went 96 hours at one point without sleep, and there's a lot of fear involved with it. But you're trying to stay alive, and you're trying to do your job without making mistakes that gets your buddies killed. But when you come home and you're honorably discharged from the military, you don't have your buddies there anymore, and you're back out in the civilian world. That was the low point for me, is trying to readjust back into society. And that's what most people don't know, and that's what they don't tell you about war. Several of the screenings were just phenomenal. One screening in particular in Dallas, Texas. There were a number of Marines in the audience who were actually in the film and who were in the same battalion that I was in Iraq. And seeing and hearing that the film had resonated deeply with them and that they loved it was the most important thing. Because here's where the young men who are now in their mid-20s, that were in their late teens and early 20s while we were shooting, they love the film. And if they hadn't liked the film, personally, that would have been crushing for me. Right. But they liked it, and it was a very good feeling. I would say do something that you're truly inspired to do. Live an inspired life, and don't become a lawyer just because you want to make a lot of money. Do something that's going to make you happy, because even if you don't make a lot of money, you'll still be happy. And that's more important. The movie is called Sever Clear, and the website is severclearthemovie.com. Here's the truth about being a Marine. We're loud, we drink too much, fight too much, swear too much.
You f***ing asshole.
And truth be told, our rifle is the only thing that we think about more than sex. All the cliches are true, but don't believe all that crap you see in the movies.